On this channel, $1 Million Made Easy, we love to run numbers for people. This channel is not for financial advice, and I'm only set up to run S&P 500, S&P 500 numbers. I know sometimes you get people that want to have a breakdown on different indexes that they might use, and I just run the numbers to the S&P 500 just to give you some idea of what it might be able to do for you. I'm not set up to do any more detailed analysis, is what I'm trying to say. I just need a beginning balance, a monthly amount, and an increase or call. If you want any more detail, if you want a breakdown not using the S&P 500, this channel is not going to really help you. I'm just set up to do the S&P 500. And I got a request with several different amounts, and I totaled them up for this individual. I know this isn't probably what he wanted, but I totaled them up. Again, I'm sticking to what I just said earlier. I only run the S&P 500. He's got 608,000. And he said he has $400 a month going in one account and 1,000 going in another. So I'm going to add those together. It'd be 1,400. Said he's 47 years old, so I'm going to run the numbers just see where he might be. Again, I've said in other videos I'm very uncomfortable doing it for less than 20 years, and so 47-year-old, 20 years, he'd be 67. And here's the reason why. I've explained this in other videos, but if you have a decade like the 2000s and you only run it for 20 years, you're going to have totally different numbers than if you ran it for like during the 80s and the 90s for 20 years. And definitely if you're just looking for a 10-year run, this obviously was going to be totally different numbers because there was 4 down years than the 20 teens where there was only 1 down year. I mean, the numbers are totally different. I've run those in other videos, but anyway, that's why I don't like to run it. I'm really uncomfortable running it for 20 years even, but this individual said he's 47 years old, so I'm going to at least run the numbers. See, I'll make sure I did this right here. 608,000 he already has, 47 years old, and $1,400 a month. So over a 20-year period, again, over the last 100 years, what's the S&P 500 done? If returns are like the last 100 years, you're going to have some kind of a range between 1.897 million, and this one means it's more than 10 million. I have to expand this because that's what that be 18 million. I realize that's a huge variance, but that depends on what's going on. Whether you're getting some years like these red ones, you already get some good green ones right here, where it's like the 80s and the 90s, or even the 20 teens, or if you have some where you have 3 down years here, or 2 down years, or like the Depression years where you had 4 down years and then 3 more down years. So that's why I like to give you a wide range of what might happen. And in this case, the 20-year range would be anywhere from 1.9 million up to 18 million, with the median in this column is 5.817. So again, I want to repeat, this is what the S&P 500 has done over the last 100 years for each 20-year period beginning in 1924. We realize that none of these returns are going to repeat like they did, but they give you this range, the range being anywhere from this amount to this amount for a 20-year period over the last 100 years. That's what we like to do on this channel. I can't get any more detail than that. If you want me to break down and look at other index funds or whatever, I'm just strictly looking at the S&P 500 and projecting ahead what it might do for you. And the reason I do that is several reasons. I saw this chart. The average investor had 3.6% return when he was trying to jump around with different asset classes, when the S&P 500 over that same period just paid an average 9.5%. I go, why not go with what has worked? Why not just go with what everybody recommends? I just saw this one a couple days ago. 11 rules, truths that all investors must accept. And number 2 was you will likely not outperform the S&P 500 over the long term. Unfortunately, it's very difficult to outpace this index. Everybody's trying to beat the S&P 500, and I just figure, why not just go with it? So I just run the numbers for the S&P 500. I can't do any more detailed analysis. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a numbers guy. I love to run numbers. So if you want me to run numbers, please keep it to this 3 criteria. How much your beginning balance is, whether you want me to inflate that or not each month, and then how much a month you want to do. And what I mean by inflating, for example, if we inflated that by 3% a year, then it'd be 1,400, 1,442, and so on. And look how that might make a difference over a 20-year period. The minimum in that column, Because you're putting in more each year, you're up to 2.1 million. That's the worst case scenario where there is a 1929. Again, we've looked at 1929 before, where it had 4 down years and then 3 more down years. Now, this is really rough, but that's the worst case scenario. The median in this column would have been 6 million. Then that's just starting with that 1400, which is the numbers he gave me, the 400 and the 1000, and I just increase it by 3%. I just like to show you the potential, what can happen if you just put in a little bit more each year. Again, I usually like to run the channel for people for 30, at least 30 years, if not 35 or 40. That's why I like to catch people young. But in this case, he's already got 608,000 saved up for a 47-year-old. That's not too shabby. Please consider subscribing to this channel. Please tell your friends about it. Tell them there's a channel that will run numbers for them. And all I ask is for these 3 criteria, and I'll run the numbers. Please share this. Please like the video, and thanks for watching.